I remember the day I left everything behind. My job, my family, my small apartment in the city. I gave it all up for her, for love. But she didn't tell me the truth. It started with a phone call. Her voice was shaking. "Can you come to me? I need you. I don't have anyone else." Of course I said yes. I didn't even ask what was wrong. I packed my bags and bought a one-way ticket. That was 2 years ago. But I can still feel the moment I stepped off the bus. Cold wind, empty streets, my heart full of hope and fear. Let me take you back a little. My name is Daniel. I was 27, living in a small room above a noisy street in Manchester. I worked at a supermarket. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it either. Every day felt the same. I had friends, but we weren't close. My parents lived far away, and we didn't talk much after my father's death. But then I met Emma. It was online. A simple photo, a few funny messages, and something clicked. We talked every day. She was kind, sweet, and full of life. She lived in a quiet town by the sea, 3 hours away. At first, it was just friendship. But one night, she sent a message that changed everything. "I wish you were here," she wrote. "Sometimes I feel so alone." After that, our messages became deeper. She told me about her dreams. She loved art, especially painting. She wanted to open her own little gallery one day. She also told me about her mother who was sick. She didn't say much, but I could feel her pain. I wanted to help. I wanted to be near her. So when she asked me to come, I didn't think twice. When I arrived, she hugged me tight. She didn't cry, but her eyes looked tired. She brought me to her flat. It was small but cozy, with paintings on every wall, most of them her own. I stayed in the guest room that night, thinking I would go back to the city soon. But one day turned into 1 week. 1 week into 1 month. I found a small job at a cafe nearby. Emma said she was happy I stayed. We weren't official. No one used the word boyfriend. But it felt like more than friendship. Still, something was strange. Emma often left early in the morning and came back late. She said she was helping her mother, who lived outside town. But she never took me to meet her. I asked once. "She's too tired," Emma said quickly. "Maybe one day." I trusted her. Or at least I tried. One rainy night I was alone at home watching TV. Emma had forgotten her phone on the table. It buzzed. A message popped up. "When are you going to tell him?" My chest got tight. I didn't touch the phone, but that one message stayed in my mind like a storm. Tell me what? What secret? That night when she came home, I tried to act normal, but I wasn't. "Who was that message from?" I asked. Emma froze. Her face turned pale. "What message?" "Your phone." It said, "When are you going to tell him?" She didn't speak for a long time. Then she sat down and looked at the floor. "There's something I haven't told you," she whispered. I felt my heart beating faster. "Daniel, I wasn't planning to fall in love with you. I really wasn't." "What are you saying?" I asked. She finally looked at me. "My mother isn't sick. She died 3 years ago." My mouth opened, but no words came out. "You lied?" I said. My voice cracked. "Yes. At first, I didn't want to tell you because it hurt too much. But then I used it as a reason to keep you here. I thought if I told you the truth, you'd leave. I stood up and walked to the window. Rain hit the glass like tiny fists. My chest was burning. You made me leave everything, I said. I trusted you. I know, she said. I'm sorry. I've been so lonely. There was silence between us for a long time. That night I didn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling, thinking about everything. The job I left. The life I gave up. Was it all for a lie? But deep inside, I also felt something else. She lied. Yes. But I saw the truth in her eyes now. The fear. The sadness. The same loneliness I carried for years. Maybe we both were just trying to hold on to something real. I didn't know what to do next. I could leave. Go back to my old life. Or I could stay and find out who Emma really was, without the lies. But could I trust her again? And what else was she hiding? I didn't leave. I wanted to. I really did. That night I even packed my bag. But as I sat on the edge of the bed, something stopped me. Maybe it was the way Emma had looked at me, broken, scared. Or maybe it was my own heart, still full of questions. The next morning I didn't speak much. Emma made coffee, but I didn't touch it. She sat across from me, waiting, watching. I know I hurt you, she said. You don't have to stay. But I did stay. Not because I forgave her, not yet, but because I needed to understand why. Why did she lie? Why didn't she just tell me the truth? That week things were quiet between us. We didn't laugh like before. She still painted, but now her colors were darker. She stopped leaving the house so often, and I stopped asking where she went. One evening, as I washed dishes, she came to me holding a small wooden box. Her hands were shaking. This was my mother's, she said. I want you to see what's inside. I opened it slowly. Inside there were photos. Emma as a child, standing next to a woman with long dark hair and a warm smile. There were letters, too. Old, folded pieces of paper full of her mother's handwriting. Most of them were sweet. Some were sad. One was torn in half. She was sick, Emma said. At the end, she didn't know who I was. She would scream at me, call me names. I was only 19. I didn't know what to do. She sat down beside me, and for the first time I saw her cry. Not quiet tears, but deep, painful sobs. I held her hand. She didn't pull away. She died angry with me, she said, and I never got to say goodbye. I finally understood. The lie wasn't just to keep me here. It was her way of hiding from the pain. We sat on the floor for a long time. No words. Just two people, broken in different ways. After that, something changed between us. Slowly, we started to rebuild. We went on long walks by the sea. We talked more, about everything. She showed me her favorite spots, the places she used to visit with her mother. I told her about my father, about how I never really said goodbye either. We were two people running from the past, trying to find a new beginning. One night, under a sky full of stars, I looked at her and asked, "Did you ever really love me? Or was it just loneliness?" She didn't answer right away. Then she looked at me, eyes full of light and pain. I think I loved you before I even knew your name." For the first time in weeks, I smiled. But of course, life doesn't stay quiet for long. One morning, I got a phone call. It was from my old boss in Manchester. He offered me my job back. "I know it's sudden," he said, "but we need someone we can trust." I said I'd think about it. When I told Emma, she froze. "Are you going to take it?" "I don't know," I said honestly. "It's my old life. My old world. And what about us?" That was the question. I loved her. I did. But I had left everything behind for someone who wasn't honest with me. Could I really start over here? Or was I just afraid to go back? I didn't sleep much that night. The next morning I walked to the cafe where I used to work. I sat at a table by the window watching the people pass by. It was a small town, quiet, simple. But now it felt like home. Then I saw something I didn't expect. Emma, across the street, talking to a man I had never seen before. They were close, too close. She touched his arm. He smiled. Then he gave her an envelope. She looked nervous, like she didn't want to take it, but she did. When she turned and saw me through the glass, she froze. That same tight feeling came back to my chest. The one I felt when I saw that message on her phone. I walked outside. "Who was that?" I asked. She didn't lie this time. "He's my brother," she said. "His name is Jack." "Why haven't you told me about him?" "Because he's the reason my mom and I stopped speaking." I was tired of secrets. "Why was he giving you money?" I asked. She looked away. "Because I'm behind on rent. I didn't want you to know. I didn't want you to feel like you had to fix it." I stared at her. My heart was heavy. "You have to stop hiding things from me," I said. "I know," she whispered. I'm not used to people staying." And that was it. That simple sentence. I'm not used to people staying. She wasn't just lying to me. She was scared. Scared of being left, of being seen, of being loved. So many parts of her life were broken, but so were mine. That night we didn't speak much, but I didn't leave. I couldn't. And when I woke up the next morning, there was a letter on the kitchen table. My name on the front. Her handwriting. Inside it said, "If you choose to go back, I'll understand. But if you stay, I promise to give you all of me. No more lies. Just love. Emma." I read it twice. 3 times. My train back to Manchester was leaving in 2 hours. The bag was already packed. The ticket was in my pocket. But my heart, it was still here. And I had one question to ask myself. I didn't go to the train station. I walked there. I stood outside. I even looked at the big clock over the door. 1 more hour. That's how long I had to decide. But I didn't go in. Instead, I sat on a bench and looked around. People were walking fast, holding bags, looking at their phones. Everyone going somewhere, everyone chasing something. I pulled out the letter again. Emma's words. Simple, but full of heart and fear. "If you stay, I promise to give you all of me." I closed my eyes. I thought about our first message, our late-night calls, her laughter when I told bad jokes, the way she touched her hair when she was nervous. I thought about the lie, and then I thought about the truth that came after. I wasn't ready to give up. Not yet. So I walked away from the station, away from the old life, back toward her. When I opened the front door, she was sitting at the kitchen table. Her eyes were red. She didn't speak. She just stared at me. I held up the letter. I stayed. She stood up slowly and walked to me. Why? Because I love you, I said. Even with the pain. Even with the past. Her arms wrapped around me, and we stood there for a long time. Quiet. Still. But something inside us began to move. Like a light turning on in a dark room. That night we talked about everything. No secrets. She told me about her brother. How he left the family when their mother got sick. How he came back too late. How she didn't know if she could forgive him. She told me she was behind on bills because she spent all her time painting, not working. She also told me that when she first messaged me, she didn't expect anything. But you were kind, she said, and I was so tired of feeling invisible. I told her about my life too, about how I always followed the safe path, took the safe job, said the safe things, how before her I never took a real risk. We were both people hiding behind masks. Now, finally, we were showing our real faces. A few weeks later, Emma sold her first painting. A man came into a local shop and saw it hanging near the back. He called her, bought it for £300. She cried when she told me. I feel like maybe this is the start, she said. It was. She began painting more. I helped her set up a small website. She started posting online. People began to notice. I worked at the cafe during the day and helped her at night. It was simple, but it was ours. Sometimes we still fought. Sometimes we didn't understand each other. But we always came back to the same place. Love. Then one morning I woke up and found a new letter on the table. But this one wasn't from Emma. It was from Jack, her brother. Thank you for not leaving her. She needed someone who saw her fully. I couldn't be that person. Maybe now I can try. A few days later, Emma agreed to meet him for lunch. She came back smiling. It was hard, she said, but I'm glad I went. Things didn't magically become perfect. Life still had struggles, bills to pay, old wounds to heal. But we were healing together. One night as we watched the sunset from the beach, she took my hand and said, "Do you ever wish you had gone back to Manchester?" I thought for a moment. No, I said, because everything I needed was right here. She smiled, then looked out at the sea. I still think about my mom, she said. I think about the goodbye I never had. I squeezed her hand. Maybe this is your new goodbye, one with peace. She nodded slowly. Yeah, maybe. I don't know what will happen tomorrow. Maybe we'll move to a new city. Maybe she'll open that little gallery she always dreamed of. Maybe I'll finally write that book I've had in my head for years. But I know one thing for sure. Love doesn't come when everything is perfect. It comes when everything is broken, and you still choose to stay. Emma lied to me. But then she trusted me enough to tell the truth. And I gave up everything for her. But in the end, I found something much greater than I ever expected. I found her. I found myself. And I found a kind of love that's built, not found. So if you're listening to this and wondering if it's worth the risk, if you're afraid of the truth or of being seen, just remember, sometimes the most beautiful stories begin with a lie, but they grow with truth. And that truth, it can change your whole life. So, what would you have done? Would you have stayed or walked away? Let me know. I really want to hear your thoughts.